favorite finance. West, I should say east-west, east 32nd Street, and we're looking up towards the beautiful One Vanderbilt. You can see that at the top left-hand corner of your screen. You can also see 270 Park with the big crane hanging off of it, and we are looking up towards the one and only Grand Central Station. Now, there was a lot going on today in terms of the financial markets, but the biggest sort of notable event for the day is the FOMC meeting. That's right. So we had the second Federal Open Market Committee meeting for the year, and as expected, Fed Chair Jerome Powell decided to keep the Fed funds rate unchanged at 5.25% to 5.5%. However, what was surprising to me, and I think many of you who've been viewers of the live stream, the speech didn't come off hawkish at all. If anything, it came off as a major dovish action for the Fed, because they said specifically that they expect 3 rate cuts coming sometime this year. Maybe we'll have to take their word for it, but I mean, right as Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that, I mean, this market absolutely took off. I mean, this is the strongest market I think I've ever been a part of actively trading. The S&P 500 crushing into brand new all-time record highs, closing at 5,224 for the first time in American history. The market has never closed higher. It was almost up 1% on the day. You know, if we go over to the NASDAQ 100 or the NDX, that also took off, but not as much as the S&P. NASDAQ 100 closed at 18,240. That was up just over 1% on the day. And then the DJI for the Dow 30 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average, I mean, absolutely crushing into new all-time record highs, up 400 points on the day, or just over 1%, closing at a brand new all-time record high of 39,512. Crazy. What also took off was gold. Gold futures are trading right now just under $2,200 an ounce. So pretty much all of the risk-on assets and the safe haven assets like gold and Bitcoin took off today. We wrote a newsletter last week saying that the price action in gold and Bitcoin is signaling some troubles ahead. Now we have confirmation that not only is the government going to continue to spend, but the Federal Reserve is going to continue to, looks like, print a bunch of money and ease and go full steam ahead. So pretty much everything was off to the races and going gangbusters today. I mean, just a marvelous close for the S&P 500. Gold is doing well. However, it's kind of at its mid-range. At one point in the trading day, gold was, I think, $2,220 an ounce. Kind of wild. Let's take a look at silver. I think that's over $25 an ounce for silver as well. And the Russell 2000, ticker symbol IWM, which are the small caps, also trying to come out. Big day for small caps on Wall Street, closing up almost 2% for the IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF. I think if we can close over 211, it's off to the races for the Russell 2000. Now, if you guys want the primary source, the exact document of the FOMC press release, just go ahead and type !FOMC in the chat. Once again, !FOMC in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to the Federal Reserve press release that just came out. Now, since I'm at my computer, I might as well just drop it in the chat. I think this is important to give it a look over. It's important to read it. And if you have time, I would actually go back and listen to the speech that the Fed chair gave. All right, so everybody, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. We'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started on our live stream on this very frigid night in Manhattan. Last but not least, if you guys want to receive all of our equity research for free, just go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and you will be signed up to receive our free investing newsletter, where we talked a lot about inflation. We talked a lot about not only monetary policy, but fiscal policy. But fiscal policy as well. So as I pack things up here, if you want to receive all of our research, just go ahead, scan the QR code, punch in your email, and let's get started. Thanks so much for joining. All right, let me see if this is gonna work. Let me know if you guys could hear me, because my microphone's gonna be clipped on a little bit weird tonight because I have like 2 extra layers of clothing on, because the wind is supposed to be absolutely ridiculous tonight, and it's the second day of spring, and it feels like we've gone back in time here in New York City, and it feels like winter again. So anyway, Jafet Perez, thanks so much for joining us. I see Anna is here. Welcome, welcome. All of our good moderators, thanks for joining. Richard Scott, welcome. Sally, Brian M, for sure. All right, you know what I may do? Sorry guys, just give me a second here. All right. We're good now. So once again, welcome to Park Avenue. I can't wait until it's actually nice out, where we don't have to wear 1,000 layers of clothing. Hey, the short guy, Brad, what's going on? I see Connie. This is very, very windy here in Binghamton, New York as well. Mark T, what's going on? Davis Brewer, thanks so much for joining us. And Peter is here. Welcome, Peter. Crypto Meme. Yeah, we pretty much got everybody. Got a full house. D. Welcome, D. Who else we got? I saw that too. Today is apparently International Happiness Day. So hopefully you guys are all doing well. Hopefully you're all really happy. I think we're going to have to make this detour around the block, because right here, for whatever reason, is a dead zone, so we actually can't walk up Park Avenue. So we'll have to make a little bit of a U-turn and go up and around, my friends. But yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, talk about, you know, the bears on Wall Street really getting punished to a degree of severity we haven't seen in a really, really long time. It almost kind of reminds me of the COVID lockout rally to an extent, right? I'm sure everybody remembers, you know, during the virus, like right when it hit, you know, you were looking at futures and you were like, wait, futures are down. You're like, wait, futures are down how much? And your like jaws kind of on the floor. And then you have this massive rip-roaring rally, and everybody's like, I'll buy it on the dip. I'll buy it on the dip. You know what? I'll buy it on the dip. It's going to come down. It's going to roll over. This is a bear market rally. And guess what? There was literally no dip. You had the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ holding and riding its 21-day moving average all the way up into ripping new all-time record highs. And this is exactly kind of what we're seeing now. You have a lot of people caught off sides here. You still have a lot of negative sentiment on the street, not only from institutional investors, but from consumers as well. You know, last week we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report out, and consumers continue to be negative. We'll talk about maybe why that is. Now, guys, this is the Korean Cultural Center in New York. I believe this just opened, but look at how cool this kind of holographic digital sign. Isn't that cool? I just realized that this was here a few days ago. Looks pretty cool. Hey, Arctic Paratrooper says, good evening, Tom. I'm glad you're on tonight. Looking forward to your stream. I appreciate it. Looking forward to you being here. Thank you so much. Troy Atman says, the U.S. is not doing well, being happy. We have fallen out of the top 20 happiest countries in the world. Did you see that article today, Tom? You know, I did. And a lot of the... who's the top three? I think a lot of the Nordic... What are the top three happiest countries? Now, that's a real big problem. I think it's a cultural thing. I don't want to get too controversial, but I don't know. Anyway, RB, what's going on? This is Evening Tom and team. Andrew Lee, what's up? Sharon, welcome. Oops. Check that out. You got an awesome shot of the Chrysler building looking uptown. We're going to go down a little bit more. Troy Atman says 1 Lithuania, 2 Israel. Anna says Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. Hey, Ace Options Trading. Good to see you. Lockbox says the U.S. is doing terrible thanks to inflation. Well, the interesting thing is, like, I understand that I'm not making an excuse for inflation. It was so interesting to hear Fed Chair Jerome Powell's description of inflation today during the speech. He's like, yeah, you know, he was kind of nonchalant about it. He was kind of just pumping up all the progress we've made so far, which to an extent is true. I mean, we have made a lot of progress on inflation. If you look all the way back to where CPI peaked, so to speak, that was at 9.1%, right? Now, we've gotten it back down to 3%, but we've been chopping around that 3% level. And one of the main things we've been talking about is, well, are we now stuck in a new inflationary environment where 3% is the new 2%, so to speak? And I really hope that's not the case. It appears to be the case, particularly if crude oil starts to rip. But today, during the speech, the chairman essentially said, look, we still expect at least 3 rate cuts at some point this year because we've made so much progress, and we think inflation's going to come back down to our 2% target at some point. So it's like, not sure if that was the best thing to say, but then again, I'm not the Fed chair, but markets seem to love that. I mean, talk about, I mean, you could have watched the market as he was speaking, and this thing was just like everybody was sitting on the bid. It was insane. Ace Options Trading says Nike and FedEx report earnings tomorrow. Yeah, FedEx is always a good kind of leading indicator as well. Junior says, hey Tom, good evening. Yeah, so I saw that. So Chipotle is doing a stock split, a 50-for-1 stock split in June. Now, it's important to kind of understand what that means. It's not really a catalyst for the stock. Now, I know Chipotle ripped again into new all-time record highs. Chipotle is a great company, has great earnings. I think that's one of Bill Ackman's top holdings is Chipotle. Ticker symbol CMG. But a stock split in and of itself does no material change to the valuation of the business, like zero, right? It essentially, quote unquote, right, I'm going to use quotes here, makes it more affordable to the average investor out there, right? Because if you look at what Chipotle is trading at, I think it's like over $2,500 a share, something like that, maybe $2,200 a share. So in the price of the stock, it's expensive. Does that make sense? Not talking valuation, talking the actual price. Like, you know, you could buy Berkshire Hathaway shares for like 300 and something thousand. Maybe it's probably even more now, like close to 500,000. So a lot of times companies will do these stock splits to make shares readily available to other investors. But some people that are not as, I guess, educated on the market think that, oh my gosh, now the stock is a lot cheaper. No, it doesn't really do the valuation of the company is the exact same. They've just issued more shares and spread it across more shares, which I think is important to note. This is the spire of the Empire State Building. Right here, we're on the corner of East 29th Street and Lexington. We almost never come down this way, so it's kind of cool to explore this area. NAV 407, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you, as always. Joe Kansas, welcome. RB says, Tom Shirley, you have already covered it, though. Somewhat expected Fed's laissez-faire approach is correct and speaks more to not politically driven. Definitely very commendable. Yeah, well, it's interesting because a lot of people out there have been saying that a rate cut leading up into the election is going to be positive for the Biden administration somehow. I mean, I just don't know how that's the case. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, because if you look at all the polls, and I know a lot of the polls are nonsense, but if you look at what most voters are concerned about, obviously number one, it's the border, right? That's come up a lot, but it's also been inflation. So I'm not too sure I agree with the Fed that, inflation will trend back down to 2% at some point. So we still are going to, we're still going to cut rates this year. Because if you cut rates, that's probably going to add to more inflation. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't. But yeah, I don't see the Fed really doing anything politically motivated like some think. Cyperson says, can someone confirm if they see this message? I think I'm shadow banned. Yeah, we can't see it. You're definitely shadow banned. I don't know what's going on with it. R2D2, what's going on? Thanks so much. OF says, I'm more of a long-term view, but I don't see a cut soon. Well, I mean, if we take the Fed at its word, we're going to get cuts this June. I just don't see how they're going to do it. Look, maybe I'm wrong. It's always possible. But gold was up, closing over $2,200 an ounce for the first time ever. It kind of came off its highs today a little bit, but gold was ramping, Bitcoin was ramping. And the good news, right, in terms of equities, you also had small caps. So Russell 2000 had an amazing day today. If you look at the ticker symbol IWM, which is the ETF for the Russell 2000, I think we were almost up 2% on the entire day. And that is what we need. I think that's the key to the market. You got to have small caps actually participating. And if you look at all the major equity indices, right, the S&P 500, I like to look at the NASDAQ 100 and the Dow, all in the new highs. The Dow crushing up 400 points today in the new highs. But small caps have really been truncated. They're nowhere near their new all-time record highs. We've been kind of in this basing pattern. I think once we break out of that, that's really going to add breadth to the market. Totally off track and off topic here. What is everybody's opinion and what are your thoughts on Wingstop, by the way? Now, in full disclosure, I've owned this stock on and off. The ticker symbol is WING. But every time I go into a Wingstop in Florida specifically, the place is absolutely packed. It doesn't look too packed here in New York. However, the food delivery bike gentlemen seem to be coming in and out of this thing constantly. So it seems to be a very, very popular franchise. Earnings are crushing. And a lot of people on the street say, oh my gosh, this chicken wing joint is trading at such a premium valuation. To which I say, look, things are expensive for a reason, and things are inexpensive for a reason. Anyway, Honest is this delicious. Larks, I love Wingstop. Trax says Wingstop has great lemon pepper and corn. Ace Options Trading says I've always wanted to try Wingstop. How is it? I would try it 100% and do it as a market research experiment, right? And go to the nearest Wingstop, wherever it is in your community, and see how packed it is. I mean, everywhere in Miami it's packed, and the ones in New York City are packed too. Guys, this is Baruch College. This is one of the best schools for finance anywhere in New York City. Obviously, hence the name Baruch, Bernard Baruch. And this college is in the City University of New York system, or CUNY, C-U-N-Y. If you've ever seen our moderator in the chat, Cosmo is, this is his alma mater. So really big finance school. A lot of smart individuals go here and go on to take positions in careers on Wall Street, in investment banking and private equity and things like that. It's a nice school. It's a good campus too. Very centrally located on 23rd Street in Lexington. Mary says, I don't see inflation coming down with the continued spending by the federal government and states. And Powell says jobs are up partly due to immigrants. Well, I was looking at the jobs report, or the jobs numbers. Did you guys see the vast majority of jobs that were created? I believe were in government and hospitality. Were those the top two? Could someone just do a quick fact check on that? I don't have a photographic memory. But I believe it was government is number one, was the number one job creator, then hospitality, and maybe healthcare, which is not great. I mean, you never want to see government, just like we talk about corporate bloat a lot on the live stream. Our government is so bloated, in my personal opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, but in my opinion, I think government, both at the state, local, and federal level, I mean, so bloated, so much redundancy, a lot of nonsense, a lot of waste. Jack S says, I think we need to get used to 3% inflation. Perhaps you're right. Hey, Carol S, good to see you. Hey, Danny, this is expensive. 30 pieces of wings for $50 in California. Adventure says, I've been meaning to try Wingstop. Try it. Let us know how it is. I like it a lot. I don't get it all the time, but I do get it from time to time. Oh, James. Very cool. I didn't know that. Carl Roth says, Tom, in a few months when demand from consumers numbers hit the market, there will be a sudden drop in the market. Hey, Jeff in Southern Tier, New York says, in February, job gains occurred in healthcare and government, food services and drinking places, in social assistance, and in transportation and warehousing. Here you have it. This is Bernard Baruch Way. Thanks for that, Jeff in Southern Tier, New York, by the way. Appreciate it. Let's continue to head down. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do these streams almost every day starting at 8:30 But, you know, in the last newsletter that we put out, we put a lot of focus on the price action in gold and Bitcoin specifically. Now, did anybody see I shouldn't say the ruling, but the news that came out that the SEC is really going after the Ethereum Foundation extremely hard right now because they essentially want to classify Ethereum as a security. And this has been my major concern and why I'm not involved in it. I don't own it. I think there's a lot of negatives coming down the pike with that. It seems like Gary Gensler specifically has some sort of weird personal vendetta against the crypto space. Now, they've made a ruling on Bitcoin. They were very clear about that, that it's classified as property. But apparently they're coming after the Ethereum Foundation to say, hey, this is a security. And look, if I had to be honest, and if you had to ask me, do I think Ethereum is a security? Now, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't study securities law, but kind of feels like it, right? I mean, you're soliciting these coins, tokens. I mean, just because you call them coins or tokens, you know, doesn't give you a free pass. I don't know, but we'll see. This is a new development, but I believe it's mostly a rental building here. Androids is how about tokenized assets? I'm very bullish on that. You know, and just a quick point, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about the, what's it called? Cryptocurrencies. But there's a lot of criticism about Bitcoin specifically, how, you know, a lot of criminals use it. It's used for money laundering and, you know, drug dealers use it. However, Bitcoin is the most transparent thing, right? I mean, if anybody kind of knows what Bitcoin is, one of its best properties is that it's immutable. You can't, excuse me, you can't change the transactions. So once you send a transaction in Bitcoin, it's registered on the blockchain forever. It can be traced, and everybody is able to see exactly how much you sent, when you sent it, where you sent it, all the way down to the exact date, time, right? So, if anything, it's the most transparent form of medium of exchange ever, right? If I do a drug deal, like, you know, if I'm going to go walk up to the Port Authority, you know, buy some fentanyl, you know, just as an example, I would never do that, obviously. Well, no, I'm just kidding. Obviously never. You know, and I do it with cash, that transaction can never be traced. But at least some of these big drug cartels that do deal in Bitcoin, you know, the federal government can track that, and they can track and trace it, how much was sent, where was it sent, and they could get these guys. So it doesn't, I think that argument really doesn't make sense, but to kind of push forward onto the tokenization of assets, I think that's even better. That creates more transparency, and who knows, maybe way down the line we can create tokenization of illiquid assets like real estate, right? You just kind of have to figure out the legalese and, you know, problems with like title and all that, but I have a prediction down the line that the way we transact in illiquid assets, it's going to make these markets a lot more liquid, a lot more fair and transparent, and it's going to prevent people from ripping each other off, quite literally. So I'm very optimistic and bullish on that, by the way. Again, it's kind of like we need to be leaning into the technology and being optimists about it, not being a pessimist and, you know, afraid of the disruption. We need to be leaning into the disruption, because if you look back throughout history, every single industry since the beginning of time has been disrupted, and guess what? They've all been improved for the better in every instance, right? So that's kind of what I would tell our regulators, particularly Elizabeth Warren, who's very against this stuff. Now look at how unique this is, everybody. This is on East 22nd Street. Check out how cool this building is. So this building was obviously a holdout. They didn't want to sell to this developer. So what I'm assuming what happened, I don't know if this happened, but you see how it kind of sticks out over this building? This developer probably acquired the air rights, and the only way they were able to build this building is to essentially build out over them. There's a lot of holdouts in New York City. I mean, it looks so unique. I wish I could flip to the wide angle lens. You know, there's another building called 75 First Avenue, if you guys want to look this up on Street Easy. It's a very, very similar concept. The building is built up and then out over this Gristedes grocery store that didn't want to move. So very unique and interesting things tend to happen in New York City with all these air rights battles and all that. It just looks really unique. I think it adds an interesting touch to the neighborhood. Now, sort of shifting gears here, everybody, to kind of piggyback off of our conversation about how, generally speaking, we should lean into technology and have an optimistic outlook on its use cases. You guys gotta check this out. If you type !link in the chat, once again, !link in the chat, this is a must watch. Okay, I know I give you guys a lot of resources and links, and I say, guys, this is a must watch. No. This you've got to stop everything you're doing, and you've got to watch this clip. Okay, so again, !link, and essentially what happened is the company Neuralink, that is owned by Elon Musk, successfully implemented the first Neuralink chip in a patient's head, okay? And they went live, like they did a live stream on X, on Twitter today, with this 29-year-old kid, okay? And he's telling his story. I forget his name, but nice guy. I mean, you know, young kid, he's 29. He was fully paralyzed from the shoulders down. In a really freak diving accident, right? So he has no mobility at all. And he's like, I just got this Neuralink chip in my head. And he's like, he's able to now operate a computer fully functional with his mind. He's able to play chess. He's able to play other games, all with this Neuralink chip in his head. And he's operating it by thinking about it. I mean, how insane is that? And you can literally see it on the live stream. He's in good spirits. He feels happy about it. And he's controlling this Neuralink technology and playing chess and playing games just by thinking about it with his head, right? With his brain. So, you know, if you think about where we are as a society, humanity in general, with this sort of technology, if we're able to do that, right now in the year 2024, can you imagine what we're going to be doing with that technology in 2055? I mean, this could quite literally have the potential to cure people of their serious illnesses, right? So, I mean, if you look at this, right, and I think this is all about perspective, and then we're going to talk about this new development building to the right. If you're ever in question, if you're ever second guessing, you know, the validity or the outlook on humanity, the economy, if things are going to become better for humanity or society and the economy in 10 years or worse, just continuously watch that video. And guys, you can't look at that and tell me that like the economy's not going to rock in the next 10 years. And I think that's what this market is saying, right? And I'm just giving this one piece of anecdotal data, but technology kind of takes off on these bell curves, or these S curves, excuse me, and they go exponential. I think we're just at the cusp of going on just a total parabolic ride where we go into like a roaring 20s for technological innovation. I mean, it was just insane watching the clips. So not to sort of drone on about it, but maybe that's what this market is saying. The market is discounting something to the future, and I think it's discounting all these amazing technologies that are really going to save people's lives and make things a lot better for all of us. Did anybody else see that Neuralink thing today? I'm curious as to what you guys think about it. I know, Randall is all great if we don't have World War III before then. I don't think we'll have World War III, but we'll see. Hey, Troy Atman says, what kind of computer was he using? I wonder, and the computer must connect to the chip in the brain somehow. Yeah, I don't know, there was an engineer, a Neuralink engineer doing the demo. I'm not too sure. Let's actually head uptown now, because it's gonna get quite cold. So let's head over and up. We'll head over and up. But next Thursday, everybody, I'm going to be incorporating an interesting study about exactly what we've been talking about in terms of forward-looking and what the potential total addressable market could be for all these amazing technologies, right? To keep us, optimistic, forward-looking, forward-thinking. If you want to receive that piece, I'm going to send it out next Thursday. If you scan the QR code on your screen or type in !news, NEWS in the chat, it'll drop a link to our Substack. So we publish every other week on Thursday, where we write all of our research, publish it for Walks on Wall Street. Anybody who wants to view it, go ahead, check it out. We're going to be focusing very heavily on projections, just how massive these TAMs, total addressable markets, can be for all these new technologies. Right? They're going to be powered by all these semiconductors, chips. I mean, it's just going to be, I think it's going to be amazing. Hold on, I got to readjust my microphone here. Yeah, a collector's dreams is maybe they could use it to cure cancer or early detection. Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if they could do that. I mean, this is like inning one, This is inning one in baseball. 222 ain't. Tom, all advances in technology are first used as weapons. It is human nature. From stone axes to AI. Interesting take. RK says AI has to be regulated. I think it will probably be regulated. Look at this. This is the tavern. Oh, Henry Made Famous. This place is kind of cool. Wow, 1864. Pete's Tavern on East 18th Street. It's a pretty cool spot, right? Peter says, too bad the chip wasn't able to make the paralyzed person mobile rather than just using his brain to play on the computer. Well, dude, I mean, you got to think bigger than that. I mean, that's, don't have your default thinking be that. Say, they should have just made the guy walk. This is step one, dude. This is step one in the process, right? Step one is, okay, can he control something as simple as a game? Step two, can he control his limbs? Can he be able to walk again? Like, there's baby steps to this, man. We're just on the south side of Gramercy Park, and all the way in the distance you could see the Chrysler building. You know, I think we have to give a lot of credit to these engineers, right, at Neuralink. It's very important that we do that. You know, it's kind of like, and I've never had kids, but, you know, if I'm, you know, in the backyard with my son or daughter, right, and we're playing baseball in the backyard, and I throw them the baseball, and they, you know, make contact with the ball, and the ball goes 2 feet in front of them, I'm not going to say, what the hell, you should have crushed that over the fence. You know, it's baby steps. They hit the ball 2 feet, then it's 3 feet, and then in a few years they're crushing it over the fence. It's going to be the same thing with this, right? The first step is doing something small, and then it compounds into something so massive. And I mean, it's just going to be, we're going to be able to capitalize on this. It's going to make humanity better, and we're going to be able to have ownership in this technology, which is just unheard of. This is insane. I don't think a lot of people really realize how crazy this could get. I mean, this could be like as big as the internet. This could be bigger than the internet. So there's something interesting about Gramercy Park. It's private, right? It's number one. And you can't just go in there. You need to live in one of these buildings, and then you would get a key to the park. But I love the architecture of the buildings around here. It's very quiet. We're now at 8 Gramercy Park South. You're going to be able to see these original gas lamps here. Look at how cool this is. This reminds me of what's right outside the Dakota, doesn't it? That's one of the things I really love about New York compared to really any other city out there. You know, you have such a diversity in architectural integrity. Like, yeah, you know, you have the Art Deco in Miami for sure, which I love, right, for anybody who's been joining our Miami streams. But you don't really get stuff like this, you know? It's just different. Yeah, Stan, those are real gas lights for sure. You kind of feel like you've transcended into a different world, like back in time. I love all the... These are probably original windows that have been restored or some sort of refurbished. It's really nice. Yeah, Combat Jones is a little bit like Sherlock Holmes. All right, one more look back down towards Gramercy Park. And now let's head further into Midtown Manhattan. We're back on Park Avenue. We're gonna walk over one more just to get out of the wind. Dees is where are we? This is Gramercy. This is the neighborhood of Gramercy. Now, if you guys want to see an apartment that we're selling at a building called Gramercy North, if you type !23 in the chat, !23, it'll drop you the link to 139 East 23rd Street, Unit 2. But Unit 2 is sold. We just sold that. So Unit 12, 14, and 15 are still available on the market, and you can kind of see what some of the apartments look like here. Now, is Gramercy my favorite neighborhood? No, it's not, but I think it's charming. I like it. I'm a big Central Park South person, though. It's just preference, but that's kind of my personal preference, Central Park South. I don't know, what about you guys? Would you rather live in the neighborhood we just walked, which is, you know, Gramercy Park, or more up towards Central Park South? Look at this. Theodore Roosevelt birthplace, National Historic Site, U.S. Department of the Interior. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I had no idea the U.S. Department of the Interior was even a thing until just now, just being honest. But look how cool this is. You have all those original shutters too. I like all these little hole-in-the-wall bars too. Peter says you like Sutton Place. Michael says 53rd. I like 53rd. I guess it depends where on 53rd, but like 53 West 53rd Street. I really like that. You know, some of these just original like townhomes are beautiful too, with those bay windows. We never really come down any of these side streets. Brad's brain. Yeah, I think if there was a quiz that was distributed to all Americans, I don't think I could honestly, and I probably should, that's not something to be proud of, I don't think I could actually name all the different departments and things like that, which probably I should. I think I remember being taught all that stuff in school, but I mean, it's been so long. Now we're coming up on Broadway. Brad's Sutton Place for me too. It's nice and quiet. Yeah, see, you know, Sutton Place is growing on a lot of people. It's just, it's a very underexplored neighborhood because it's so quiet. Guys, look at how crazy the architecture is here. It's an amazing building. You know what neighborhood's actually been growing on me lately? Just because of how, well, it really depends on my mood, I guess. I don't know if I could live there, for obvious reasons. But you know, the Bowery, as of late, right, back in the day, it wasn't, you know, definitely probably don't want to live there, but it's like an interesting vibe. It's like very hardened, like city. I don't really want to use the term grunge, but in grunge in a good way, but sometimes it's overpowering with, you know, nonsense that goes on there. But you know, taking a walk through the Bowery in the summer, it's kind of cool. I actually like it. Anyway, we're just past Okta, which is a cybersecurity company, trades under the ticker symbol OKTA. There's Okta's offices right here. Now, Okta specializes in identity and access management, or IAM, cybersecurity. Brendan O'Brien's The Bowery Ballroom is a really nice venue. Let me take a screenshot of that. All right, this is 5th Avenue, so we'll make this right, and this is going to take us all the way up. Hey, Alan says we use Okta where I work. Nice. Troy Atman says, Tom, do you still like Palo Alto Networks? I do still like Palo Alto Networks. I think the leaders in cyber come down to 3 companies. Palo Alto. Wow, that was almost an accident. That guy just turned and didn't even look. And that's weird. I guess he went down a one-way because he was turning this way. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you're driving in New York City, you can't make a right on red. So a lot of drivers from New Jersey and Long Island, they come to the city and they make rights on red, and then they get pulled over. You're not allowed, in New York, in the city, there's no right on red. Anyway, but I believe the 3 leaders in cyber is Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, Zscaler. Those 3. Now we're right outside the Flatiron building. Speaking of condominium conversions, the Flatiron building is now going to be condos. According to some of you guys in the chat, I mean, you can't really see it because of all the scaffolding that's all over it. I just feel if this is going to be very, very narrow. I mean, the Flatiron building, the floor plates are super, super narrow. I mean, I think people that are going to be buying in the Flatiron are probably going to be buying for the art of it, right? To say, hey, I own a condo in the Flatiron building. I don't know how workable it's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see. I believe there's some renderings online. If you just Google Flatiron Building, New York City, and then condos, you'll be able to see it. Now, you know what was another sector, now that we're talking about housing? You know, home builders today had a crazy, crazy good day. You know, if you just go down the list, Toll Brothers, Pulte, Taylor Morrison Home, all of these home builders continue to defy the narrative that there's going to be this massive housing crash. I mean, these stocks just continue. I mean, how long have we been talking about home builders hitting new record highs? I mean, that's been one of the strongest sectors in the entire market has been the home builders. And maybe, one of the ways that we could think about this narrative is with this heightened interest rate environment. There's a lot of sellers out there that are very reluctant to list their homes for sale because they have such low interest rates. They pretty much have free money, right? So there's really, number one, there's really no incentive to pay it down because it's very low cost debt, free money. But number two, if they were to sell, even if they would make a profit, which probably they would, everybody has a lot of equity, it's like, where are you going to go, right? There's not a lot of good inventory on the market. So where is the inventory going to come from? Well, if it's not going to come from the resales, it's going to come from the developers, the builders. And that's why I believe that these companies are doing well. I think we just got building permits data out too. And margins are still pretty high for these home builders. Hey, Hawaii, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. We were walking around Gramercy Park, and now we are at Madison Square Park. We're taking a look at the Flatiron Building. And this is Italy, by the way, to the right. Very frigid night. Patrice 2020, Jonathan, what's up? Teresa Diaz. A collector's dreams. Florida home builders are selling out quickly. I'm not too sure if we talked about this, but did anybody see the article in the Wall Street Journal that came out, I think 2 or 3 days ago, specifically talking about Austin, Texas? Now, Austin was one of these white-hot housing markets, right, spurred by the pandemic. Everybody moving out of blue states to the red states and out of blue cities to red cities. I'm not being political, that's just what happened. I mean, that's just what the data shows. So it sent the prices of these places sky high, like crazy. But now the prices are coming down, the rents are easing, and kind of things are going back to normal, which is good. But the reason for that is because, places and cities like Austin, Texas are actually kind of doing the right thing by building. This is, pretty basic economics 101. If law of supply and demand, if you have tons of demand but no supply, the prices will go up. So what do you need to do to satiate a lot of that demand? Well, you need to build. And one of the things that these cities like Austin and Miami have been doing is they've been building. So maybe short term, they'll overbuild and prices will come down. But isn't that kind of what we want? I mean, I don't know about you guys, because the media has been running these, campaigns of just fear about, America is going to turn into a renter nation and nobody's going to be able to afford to buy a house and it's going to be the worst thing ever. And then once prices start to come down, they spin the narrative that there's going to be a big housing crash. So you can't really have it both ways. We really need to decipher the data and just look at the data and say, okay, the cities and the states that are building houses, prices are going to cool. The cities and states that are not building appropriate housing, the prices are not going to cool. This is that 230 Fifth Avenue rooftop bar. Hey, Trade Brigade, what's going on? This is, hey Tom, just tuning in. Can you believe the FOMC? Dude, I know. Pretty crazy day today. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so no rate hike, obviously. I think that was pretty obvious, but I was actually quite surprised. I thought the Fed was going to come in quite hawkish, but if anything, in my opinion, Fed Chair Powell came off as a huge dove, saying, yeah, we're going to get inflation down to 2%, it's coming down, and he was essentially celebrating how, you know, we've gotten inflation down from 9.1% all the way down to in the threes, and he's like, we're confident it'll get to 2% over time, and we're still expecting cuts at some point this year. Markets love that. You could literally see the SPY while Fed Chair Powell was speaking, just absolutely going off on one. All new record high for the S&P and the Dow. I mean, this is a crazy strong market. Now, I've said this before, and I've gotten a lot of flack for it, but this is the strongest market that I've personally been a part of. Now, again, personally been a part of. I didn't trade through the 2000 tech bubble. I was like 5, okay? But anything that I've been personally a part of, it was the 2020 COVID rally off the bottom, the lockout rally. And if you go back to the S&P and specifically the NASDAQ 100, we didn't even get we barely got a correction to the 21-day moving average. So, I mean, you have the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 in this crazy lockout rally. Everybody's saying that there's still people on Wall Street right now that think this is the bear market rally. As the market is printing into new highs every day. But, you know, too bad for the bears.
It basically keeps saying I'm at the net.
But yeah, I mean, I was told, I mean, if you guys have been listening to these streams over the past week leading up to the FOMC, I was totally wrong on the direction that the Fed was going to take. After this hot inflation print we got, I thought he was going to, you know, kind of calm things down. But essentially he's like, nope, there's still going to be cuts. We're going to ease. And the markets, I mean, a total blow, rip your face off day in the market. Gold up big. I think gold kind of paired its gains a little bit. I think we're still over 2,200, I think, on gold. Bitcoin retraced to its 50-day, back off to the raises, I think over 67,000. Crazy. It's just a wild market. This is a good shot of the Empire State Building here. Hey, Peters, the rally off the crash of 1986 was absolutely fantastic. Trade Brigades is, even if he just put the tough guy face on to manage expectations and didn't follow through, that would have been fine. I agree. I'm surprised. I don't know what he's thinking, but we'll see. I mean, everything is risk on now. Trade Brigade. Thoughts on the Russell 2000? We had a pretty good day in small caps. The IWM, I think, was up 2% today. Now, that's been my biggest caveat in the market, not to kind of repeat myself, but, you know, small caps have really not been participating. This is a crazy view of the Empire. But small caps have been struggling. They have not hit record highs. It's been truncated in that base, but it's trying to come out. The Russell 2000 is trying to come out, and I think if we break over those highs, we have a real shot at new all-time record highs for the Russell 2000. And if that happens, I mean, you're going to see much higher prices for the S&P over time if we have a real big expansion in breadth. But things are in gear. You know, we'll see. All right, everybody, so we're walking directly up Broadway. We're about to be in New York City's Koreatown, so 32nd Street and Korea Way. You have a lot of these cool buildings, really nice architecture here. Yeah, Trade Brigades is, I think, that the weekly base breakout is what we need. Strong hold over the 200. Hold on, let me scroll down. Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, if you ever heard of like the Darvis box, the Russell 2000 has been like mid-range in this like zigzaggy Darvis box, and it hasn't broke out to the upside. Microcaps did okay today. And Japan no longer has negative interest rates. Hooray. Now Japan, what is Japan trading at right now, everybody? Because after the Bank of Japan decision, the BOJ, to raise rates from negatives back to zero, I mean, we had a crazy move again back towards new all-time record highs for Japanese equities. Obviously supported by a weaker yen. Trade Brigade says, Tom, look at RUT SPX. It usually doesn't outperform for long periods of time, but if it does, need the spark. Yeah. It does need the spark if you... Yeah, got it. I'll take a look at it. You know, I don't know if you have TradingView. I have a TradingView account where we could share charts and stuff back and forth. I think if I have your username on TradingView, I could just... You could see all my ideas and stuff. I don't know if that's the platform you use. I tend to use TradingView and MarketSmith, although I guess apparently MarketSmith is no longer called MarketSmith. It's like Market Surge or something weird. I mean, it's the same thing, but I guess they had to create a new name after the acquisition, something like that. Who knows? Roberts' Hong Kong markets are way up. I mean, think about how many people, honestly, are really offsides this market. All right, Koreatown. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. And click the subscribe button if you're new. And if you like all of our sort of walks and financial talks, we do consolidate all of our market thoughts into an easy to read newsletter. If you want to receive that every other Thursday, right as the market closes, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email. That's going to take you to our Substack. We publish every other Thursday. Or you could type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. Now, a little bit earlier in the live stream, we were talking about the breaking news out of the platform X. Neuralink, their page on X, posted a live stream of a 29-year-old kid that had a successful Neuralink chip implant in its head, and he's able to operate a computer and play chess all by just thinking about the moves of the individual chess pieces. It's just the most incredible thing. If you guys want to see that video, type !link, L-I-N-K, in the chat, and it's going to give you a link to the Neuralink, what's it called? Live stream with the patient. He's a 29-year-old kid. He told his story. Unfortunately, he was in some sort of a freak accident when he was scuba diving, I think he said, and he's totally paralyzed. This technology, over time, could potentially make him whole again, which is It's just stunning stuff that's going to be coming down the pike. Maybe that's what the market is discounting. The market is discounting all of this amazing innovation, this wave of, I should say, team prosperity, team humanity, pro-America. You know what, we'll do one lap around Koreatown. We haven't actually been through Koreatown in a long time. Eric Kaufman says, Tom, what are you getting your implant? Oof. Probably no time soon, to be honest. But I wouldn't be surprised if in 50 years, you know, getting a chip implanted in your brain is the new norm. Hold on, I gotta plug in my phone. We're already on 10% battery because it's so cold. Let me find a place that I can do that. That guy's making a peanut butter sandwich. Yeah, Troy Atman says version 50 for me. You know, how many people in this world thought everybody was going to be walking around with a smartphone, right? Now everybody walks around with a smartphone. It's very possible that in 50 years, everybody's walking around with a chip in their head. I don't know if that's good or bad, but from what it looks like so far, this technology is really going to help a lot of people. All right, real quick, give me 1 second. Hey Nick, says, hey Tom, I want to try to get some footage inside, but that's I mean, if you guys are big into architecture, check out a new condo that went up in Dumbo, Brooklyn. It's called Olympia Dumbo. Really, really unique building, and the architect and the developer, they wanted the facade to mimic sails on a sailboat and have nautical themes throughout the entire building. It's incredible. You gotta just Google a picture of it, Olympia Dumbo, or you could check out our Brooklyn Bridge / Dumbo walking tour. It's a really, really cool building. Yeah, you know, someone sent that to me today. I don't know what happened. Apparently there was a fire in Lower Manhattan at a building. Hopefully no one was hurt. I'm actually not too sure. I'm actually not too sure what happened. Rocky Rocks' market will stay all-time high since it's the election year. And old man is going to win again. Dems in power means no recession. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's political. I really don't. But look, if the markets crush even more in all-time record highs, I don't care what the reason is. But maybe you're right. Who knows? All right, we're going to take a quick spin through Koreatown. Another interesting New York City real estate piece of news. Did anybody see the official renderings that were released for 350 Park Avenue? Now, if you haven't, wow, really impressive. So, if you have another browser pulled up, just quickly Google 350 Park, and Ken Griffin from Citadel Securities, right, one of the most profitable quantitative hedge funds / market makers, they are going to be occupying all 54, well, I should say the first 54 floors in that new office tower. So not only are they building a brand new office tower in Brickell, Miami, where we actually visited the site of that construction, Citadel is going to be building a super tall, right on Park Avenue, to rival Jamie Dimon. Check it out, the renderings are pretty cool. 350 Park Avenue. I mean, the whole skyline of New York is just going to continue to change and evolve. I mean, we already have One Vanderbilt. We have 270 Park that's coming up. We have 425 Park Avenue. So in between 42nd Street and 59th Street and Park, I mean, that's going to be like a Wall Street utopia. It's going to be crazy. And we're going to be able to watch it being built, which is going to be awesome. This is one of my favorite places in Koreatown. If you're visiting New York City, I would highly recommend this place right here. This is called Grace Street. It's again Grace Street. It's a Korean, sort of like a bakery dessert place, very good. 17 West 32nd Street. And I'd recommend a Dalgona coffee. I'm not sure if anybody's had Dalgona. I tried it for the first time like 3 years ago. It's really good. It's expensive there though, but it's really, really good. Also, this place, the Food Gallery, on the top floor, you have Pelicana chicken, which is very good. It's like Korean fried chicken place. Really good. Hey, Cape Cod Sarah, this is Tom. Imagine with the chip in you, when you get in your car, you don't have to turn it on or drive. You just need to think about what you want the car to do. Yeah, I mean, things could get really, really crazy. Wow, that's actually a really good point. Now, the only thing, I don't know, I think that's kind of the scary part. If everybody is linked up and synced up, does that mean that we could sort of like telecommunicate with each other just by thinking? I don't know. I don't really want people knowing what I'm thinking all the time. That could get a little weird. But I've often said, I think what's going to really make us become one with the machine is just latency. I think that's the X factor there. Because if you think about, humans are already like cyborgs as of right now. If you really think about it, we are supercomputers, the human being right now, because we have a smartphone. But instead of, with the Neuralink, like you just think about it, you get the answer. We just, type in on our smartphones, or we say, "Hey Siri, who's, the president of Zimbabwe," or whatever, right? And we get that answer automatically. In the 70s and 80s, when my parents were my age, right, they had to go to a library and look things up in encyclopedias and do research, and that would take them so long. That is extremely, extremely not low latency, right? That takes forever. So the next step for having a human become one with machine is we just think about what we want to know and we instantaneously get the answer. So again, going back to that example of that 29-year-old kid with that Neuralink chip implant, when he's just thinking about the chess moves he wants to make and the computer is making those chess moves, it could potentially be the same thing, but with just you have every single answer on the internet automatically programmed into your brain, and you are essentially a supercomputer and a superhuman. How's that going to work when you're taking the SAT, right? Are the SATs going to be obsolete? Are humans going to be able to get software updates, kind of like an iOS update? I don't know how it's going to work. Any thoughts on that? What do you guys think? And this isn't some pie in the sky, you know, ridiculous conversation. I mean, this stuff is, we're seeing it happen. Like, we literally saw it happen right now on the live stream on Neuralink. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams every night, starting at 8:30, walking around New York, talking about the financial markets. Bree Graham says, then humans are just shells of the robots' processes? Maybe. They have a Bonchon location in Lower Manhattan. Not really a big fan of Bonchon, to be honest. Ooh, it's getting windy. Get off of Fifth Avenue because it's kind of like a wind tunnel. Gina says, can you feel the building sway when the wind kicks up in Manhattan? Actually, you can in some buildings. And some of the buildings are designed like that specifically. There's a really good video on the Architectural Digest channel about some of these buildings on Billionaires Row, specifically 432 Park Avenue, Central Park Tower. They have these massive sort of like pendulum type instruments at the very top. They're called dampers, and they act as counterweights to the building. It's really amazing engineering. So the buildings are designed to have a little bit of a give, and the damper on the top, you know, acts as the counterweight to prevent the building from collapsing and falling over. So a lot of the super talls on Billionaires Row, they have them in there. There's a really good book. I've recommended it probably 1 trillion times now on the stream. They have a little section that kind of explains this. The book is called Billionaires Row by Catherine Clark. I think this is one of the very few 4 a.m. bars that are left in New York City. Jack Dempsey's. You know, another point about the, you know, Neuralink chip implants, everybody thinks it's so crazy. How many of you in the chat, and be honest, know of a friend or family member, or maybe even you, have your dogs or your pets chipped? Right? 20 years ago, you wouldn't even think that would be a normal thing. Now, you know, veterinarians are recommending that you have your pets chipped right? Yeah, Trade Brigade, we did talk about that. I've still yet to watch Jensen's keynote from that, but apparently it was, I mean, spectacular from what I've heard. I've still yet to find the time to actually sit down and watch the whole thing. Apparently Nvidia had an investor day yesterday where Jensen gave a very high level overview of what was talked about. So what is their next product going to be? 12 times faster or something wild? I always think about that. I mean, you know, there's some Nvidia employees right now that are quite literally multi-millionaires. I mean, some of them, I mean, probably worth 10, 20, maybe 100 million bucks just of the share price appreciation of the equity that they got. I mean, God bless them, right? I mean, what a move that stock has made. Yeah, Trade Brigades is definitely watching when you have a spare 2 hours. I'll probably listen to it tonight when I'm cleaning up the house. I think it's important that I watch that. Tracy says my dog is microchipped, but it hasn't made her any smarter. Funny. It actually seems like many of you do. Isabella says both our dogs are chipped. They are both rescues. Interesting. Now, do we think there's any risk long term? I saw this, I think it's a stretch. There was this interesting bear thesis out there that a lot of the, I should say, legacy NVIDIA employees, like the really, really top talent, they're so rich right now that they're probably just going to call it quits, call it retirement, and everybody is going to get a little bit lazy. I kind of do see a point there, but I don't know if that's their sole motivation, right? I mean, some of these technologists just do it for the love of the game. I mean, obviously there's a financial incentive, but I don't think that's going to stifle innovation just because these people are so wealthy now. I don't know. Apparently, you know, the housing market in and around NVIDIA's headquarters is so white hot that you can't even get deals done because there's just so much demand. This is the new Pen 2 project put on by Vornado. Now, this vacant lot used to be the Pennsylvania Hotel Pennsylvania. And now it's totally vacant, and Vornado has built this where you can get the 123 ACE, obviously the LIRR, Amtrak, New Jersey Transit 2. This thing looks really, really good. Look at how much wider it makes the street up here. right, let's do a quick walk around the new Penn Station. What do you guys think? Thumbs up or thumbs down on the brand new entrance? There's the brand new entrance to MSG. Now, you weren't able to see this view of the Empire State Building before because you obviously had the massive hotel right here. Now it's just a totally vacant lot. I mean, it looks strange because I'm not used to seeing it like this, but it looks awesome. I mean, for those New Yorkers in the chat that knows what the old Penn Station was like, I mean, this is 10,000 times better. You know, when you make things more open and you have security guards here, like it deters, you know, crime, things like that. You never really see anybody loitering anymore. There used to be just herds of people, you know, smoking, drinking here. Now it's awesome. I will. Alan says, will you be watching the Reddit IPO this Thursday? I will. Yeah, Reddit is going public. That's going to be a funny one to watch, right? With the Wall Street Bets crowd. Now, remember, you know, what we said, our thesis for 2024, that the capital markets are going to open up again, right? So the IPO market, the pipeline is going to open up. And we wrote an article about this, specifically talking about the major investment banks, right? You know, JP Morgan, the financials are acting really well, right? And a lot of times prices of stocks lead by 6 months. This is Billy Joel's piano right here. Now, one of our viewers said that this was his piano from his 100th performance at Madison Square Garden. It's pretty cool. But JP Morgan in the new all-time record highs. All of the boutique investment banks like Houlihan Lokey, Jefferies, Evercore. I mean, all of them are acting really, really well. Goldman Sachs had a really good day, trading at 52-week highs. And what that's telling me, right, the market is telling us, sorry, I had to unzip my jacket, that not only is the IPO market going to recover in 2024, but the M&A, merger and acquisition market, is really going to recover too. You know, 2023 was one of the worst years on record for new IPOs, but 2021 was one of the best years on record for deal making on Wall Street, mainly because of the Federal Reserve providing so much liquidity. You know, you had it was like euphoria, right? You had a new IPO almost every day. You had all of the fraudulent special purpose acquisition companies, the SPACs. And then once the Federal Reserve started tightening monetary policy and hiking interest rates, all of the deal making on Wall Street went away. You had a huge earnings recession at the major investment banks. But if you look at all of the earnings estimates, right, go ahead and look at some of the earnings estimates for major Wall Street investment banks. They look great. And especially even a lot of the private equity companies that are public, like Apollo, ticker symbol APO, KKR, ticker symbol KKR. you know, all of these stocks, I mean, are crushing. And what that's telling me is the IPO market's going to open back up and the private equity market's going to open back up. If you want to read the article that I wrote, which kind of talked about this, if you scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, it'll bring you to our Substack. And we publish all of our market research every other Thursday. You could also type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our newsletter. But let's actually head into the underworld. I'm going to take you guys down into Penn Station. I think the internet's going to start to buffer a little bit, but let's give it a try. We haven't been down here in a long time. So we are now going to take the escalator down into the brand new Long Island Railroad terminal. I really should just say, you know, the new Penn Station in general. And you're going to notice a huge difference. The ceiling heights are so much higher. Everything is so clean. I mean, they did a great job. You'll probably notice a really large police presence too, because Governor Kathy Hochul has deployed the National Guard to major subway terminals. So let's see if we see any National Guard members. So check this out. We have a Shake Shack coming. We have a Dos Toros. We have a Starbucks coming. And look at how tall these ceiling heights are. It's incredible. Now, for context, this is how low the ceiling heights used to be throughout the entire station. Right here. So could you imagine the entire subway or the entire Penn Station being this height? That's how it used to be, by the way, right? So if you're a New Yorker or a Long Islander in the chat, you remember the old Penn Station being exactly like this. You know, now it's completely different. It's super modern, you know, really elevated ceiling heights. I mean, they did a really good job. It looks totally, totally different. All right, let's go back up. We'll take the stairs to get some more steps in. Yeah, Sean D says they did an excellent job. All right, 7th Avenue, 33rd Street. Then you have this really cool view. I think they did an amazing job. Let's try to walk all the way around. It may be too windy to do that, but it looks like this is going to be some sort of showroom in here. Look at that. That's incredible. This looks like kind of like a black box theater. Let's head over towards the Hudson Yards. Oh, here's the pickleball courts. I think someone just put that in the chat. Anybody here play pickleball? Look at this. Who here is a big pickleball fan? You can see him building it. Yeah, the Planet Fitness. Now, Planet Fitness stock is being hammered. Ticker symbol PLNT, I believe. Now, apparently, there was some big controversy that Planet Fitness wouldn't kick a male out of the women's locker room. So it's like a big boycott, and it's really hitting the stock really bad. That stock was getting crushed. I don't know the exact story, but I think it's something like that. Marks, did they fix the New Jersey section? Not yet. New Jersey transit is still looking the exact same. 405 says I don't even know what pickleball is. It's kind of like a mix between tennis and I don't know, like paddleball maybe. So we're headed towards the New Yorker Hotel. And also the Hudson Yards. Patricia Johnson, like kind of like the Bud Light thing. Yeah, kind of like that. Like the big outrage on it. This kid's got those Heelys on. I haven't seen those things in such a long time. Yeah, well, here it is. Check this out. This is the New Yorker Hotel. Hey, Trade Brigade, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Joel PM says the new skinny pill is not helping the fitness industry. Well, I'm reading a lot of mixed opinions about that. The Ozempic pill. And a lot of, and again, this is just what I'm reading. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I don't know anything about it. This is what I'm reading. But they're saying that people that are taking Ozempic lose a lot of muscle mass. So yeah, but again, that's just what I'm reading. I'm not a doctor, so please don't take that as a matter of fact. Hey Tim, Tom, what were your thoughts on Fed Chair Powell's speech tonight? I was very surprised by it, extremely surprised by it. I thought he was going to come off a little bit more hawkish. He came off as an extreme dove, and the market's crushed. The market's absolutely ripped to new all-time record highs. S&P 500, the Dow, I mean, Bitcoin, gold, everything was just gangbusters today. It's unbelievable. Now, this is the new Moynihan train hall here. Mark, I'm not too sure why they did not fix the New Jersey transit area. Oh, why is this? You missed my thoughts on the pill. Oh, it was buffering? That's so funny. Well, apparently, I was reading an article that says Ozempic, a lot of doctors are saying that, yeah, you'll lose weight, but you'll lose a lot of muscle mass. So you lose the weight, but it significantly decreases the amount of muscle mass you have. And then if you stop taking it, you'll gain all the weight back, but none of the muscle mass. So it could potentially be very dangerous for some people to take it. Again, I'm not a doctor. Don't, take that as any sort of advice. That's just kind of the research that I'm reading, which is a bit concerning, right? Because if people are just taking, my concern is that, many Americans are only in it for just a quick fix, right? They want to take some magic pill so they don't have to eat healthy, they don't have to work out, which, look, if there's a magic pill that exists, I support it, right? And you should take it. But where I get a little bit nervous about this, guys, is if we just give this pill to the American populace and nobody is, maintaining their muscle mass, nobody's working out, and everybody's just eating all these pills, and then if they stop taking it, you're gonna have like a tidal wave of adverse effects. Again, I want to be clear, because I usually get emails after the live stream. I don't know if that's a fact or not, okay? This is just what I'm reading. Check the logic, says you were placed in timeout. I don't know, sometimes the Nightbot just does that by mistake. I wouldn't think too far into it. Just sometimes the Nightbot has a mind of its own. All right, now we're headed towards the Hudson Yards. Hey, hang with Mark Mom. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Wow, did we cover a lot tonight? We talked about a lot. Specifically, obviously today was the FOMC meeting. Mark has performed really well, but we also had a good conversation about Neuralink. Check the logic. This is cool. I still love the show. We love you, man. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys get timed out by the Nightbot, sometimes I have to program the bot to block certain keywords, and sometimes keywords are used in a good way, but mostly some of these keywords are used in a bad way, so it'll just time you out. All right, this is 2 Manhattan West, right here. And this is 1 Manhattan West. Now, if you've been watching Walks on Wall Street for a very long time, you'll notice, or you should have known, that we have a very interesting commercial real estate predicament in the city, where a lot of the Class B and Class C office towers are not doing well at all. right? There's a commercial real estate quote-unquote crisis in that aspect, but what the news and the media won't tell you is that the Class A office towers are actually doing really well in New York, particularly 1 Vanderbilt, 425 Park Avenue, the new 270 Park that's coming up, and all of these buildings right here at the Hudson Yards. I'll give you an example. BlackRock just moved their corporate offices from just off of Park Avenue to 50 Hudson Yards. So we're seeing an interesting shift in businesses where they're downsizing in terms of overall square footage, but they're upgrading in terms of the quality of the building. So if you do some research, again, I'll give you some of these addresses again. 1 Vanderbilt, 425 Park Avenue. Pretty soon coming up is 350 Park. Citadel Securities is going to occupy 54 floors in that building. It's going to rival JP Morgan Chase's office tower. And, Class A is doing really well. You have KPMG. They moved their corporate headquarters to Hudson Yards. You have Accenture. You have EY that vacated Times Square. And they're all coming to these really stunning office towers over here. The Moynihan Train Hall directly connects to the Hudson Yards. You'll notice how modern everything looks. Almost looks like a completely different city. Look at how expansive the lobbies are. Look at that. You also have the NHL. You can see EY, NHL. And look at how far back it goes. Pretty cool stuff. All right, everybody. Well, we're coming up on the 2 hours. If you enjoyed the live stream tonight, leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. And if you enjoy all of these conversations that we have about New York City and the financial markets and cutting edge technologies, feel free to subscribe to our free investing newsletter. We send it out every other Thursday after the market close. If you scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, NEWS, in the chat, it'll drop the link to our Substack. We publish bi-weekly. So guys, thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. We will be back live tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. I wish you all a fantastic Thursday. So Tatted Tara, Patricia Johnson, Mark, DWG, Brian, Dale, Troy Atman, thank you so much. Hang with Mark Mom, I appreciate it as always. Hopefully you're doing well. Justin, thank you. T-Cal, James, John G, Gary Carpenter, Hawaii, Austin City Limits, Sabrina Fair, Line Sync, Joseph Hardaway. Who else we got? Patricia Ivory, love the beach, appreciate you. Check the logic, you're always appreciated. Guys, there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. I'll see you all back here live from New York City tomorrow. Take care.